Our first date.
I should have been murdered. Nobody was home. It had snowed recently and I had to shimmy. It kind of seemed to be the theme throughout Wild and Free. And I know that they are not like an overly religious group, but there's no way that wasn't God. Like every time I go, I'm like, this is exactly what I needed. Welcome to Wonder and Wildflower, the podcast where homeschool parents talk about the beautiful chaos of family life. I'm your host, Christine, joined by my husband, Xander.
What's up?
Hi. It's been a long time.
It has been a while.
Since we sat with cameras filming us.
That's true. I mean, I've seen you.
Okay. Yes, we have seen each other.
There's some relationships that are like that.
I suppose. Not ours. Yeah.
No, not ours. I mean, although we do have some distance, definitely makes our hearts grow fonder.
I don't know. I sleep like a lot more.
Yeah.
But I do miss you when you're gone.
However, okay. So I had this thought. And this is, we're going to start off our podcast like this.
Oh gosh, okay.
Are you ready?
No.
I'm going to spring it on you.
Okay.
All right. So 1 to 3 things about moi that bother you.
That bother me?
Yes. That you have chosen to accept.
Oh, well, I can think of 2 immediately,
All right,
but I
go
don't
ahead.
accept them.
Rapid fire.
You
Go.
know what they are.
Go.
You're chewing and you're breathing.
My chewing and my breathing.
Yes.
So you, to be clear, you do not
yelling.
like. I'm sorry, I just yell. It's the way that I talk.
No, it's
and not only that, but someone pays me to.
This might be number 3 that you yell.
That I yell.
That you yell talk. You either yell talk or you whisper like your mother, and neither one really works for me. Like there's no happy medium. Which we have a child who also yell talks. So
which one?
Benny. You know that.
Well, I wasn't sure. All right. So
okay. So you're chewing just because you chew loudly and you like hit.
Is my mouth? Hold on.
Your mouth is not open.
My mouth is not open, so I'm not chewing with my mouth open.
No.
So you're not seeing everything that's happening in there.
No, I'm not. But you chew loudly, and you do things like eat apples in bed, and like I feel like that's an aggression towards me. You breathe a lot.
You breathe a whole lot, guy.
Like loudly. I have acknowledged that the breathing thing is like a me problem. The chewing thing is a you problem.
How does one go about fixing?
I don't know, but I've chosen to stay with you. So I guess we're working it out.
What, our first date was, where were we at? The Fogo? No, it wasn't Fogo de Chao. What was it?
Melting Pot.
Yes, Melting Pot, right?
I was just enamored by your beauty. I was probably also very nervous.
Oh, man.
I don't think I paid attention to your chewing.
You don't think you paid attention to our chewing?
No.
I mean,
blinded by love.
So someone who is fully obsessed with, this is a long intro. People are probably like annoyed, but maybe.
Is it even an intro or did we just dive right in?
I mean, we didn't say like what we're talking about. I don't even know. Like, I mean, the gambit is open.
Okay.
Anyway, so you got, as someone who's a true crime junkie,
mm-hmm.
you would identify yourself as a true crime junkie, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So our first date.
I should have been murdered. You
should have been murdered. Lay it out for the 43 people.
Don't be a brat. So we met on Match.com.
Were apps even out at that point?
No, it was a website.
Well, I know it was a website, but did they have apps out at that point?
If they did, I didn't know.
I feel like they didn't. But anyways, go ahead, sorry.
We chatted for like 2 weeks online. I actually had a boyfriend. You know, that was terrible of me. So sorry. And then we were like, hey, I'll come pick you up and we'll go on a date. So I actually got locked out of my house that day. Nobody was home. It had snowed recently. And I had to shimmy in between the ground and the garage door to like get into the house. We didn't have the code thing that we have now.
You did not have that at that time? Oh, wow.
But my best friend had just had a baby. So I like went to the hospital, saw the baby, and then I like hurried home to get ready for you. And then I let you pick me up. I gave you my home address where no one else was located in the middle of nowhere and let you pick me up. And then our date was a surprise. So I didn't even know where you were taking me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't even tell you?
No.
Oh, snap. Here I am thinking I was probably being romantic and whatnot.
But it was creepy. And then we went on our date, and you did not murder me. And we got married about a year and a half later.
Year and a half later. Mm-hmm. You would have got married 6 months into that?
I sure would have.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man. Even though like all the other things that we'll talk about, you would have still married me in that 6 month period. Man. Sheesh.
Yeah, I know. So I think we had said we were going to talk about marriage. And I guess our marriage specifically. But
so, all right, going back to the chewing thing.
Okay. The third one, I don't know. You interrupt me a lot, but you're working on that. You're actively trying not to. Oh, I know what it is. It's actually number one.
It's actually number one.
It drives me the most crazy. You are also aware, so is anyone who spent an extended amount of time with us. You question literally everything I say. I'll be like, oh, the ketchup's on the third drawer. Is it? Yeah, I just said it was. You, like, and you question me on things that, like, I know. Like, something that has to do with the kids or something that I am, like, it could be a true crime case that you've never heard of. And you'll be like, are you sure that's what happened? Bro, like, I just listened to a deep dive podcast on it. I'm positive that that's what happened. You question and I don't think it's like you think I'm dumb. I actually don't know what's wrong with you, but it's a lot. And some days, like specifically, like, you know, towards my cycle starting, I kind of don't like it a lot, and I get very annoyed by it.
Man, if only we could accommodate travel during that time leading up to that.
Might be better for you, but that might be more stressful for me because then I'm home alone with the kids. So those are things. I don't even want to know the 3 things about me that bother you. You can keep those to yourself.
I can keep those to myself?
Yeah.
Well, number one, that's like putting you out there.
You can't put that. I know exactly what you're
saying. Yeah. I would only tell people who are...
You tell everybody. It's fine.
That's true, but that's not the World Wide Web.
We have 48 followers.
It's 43 followers.
43, see?
And yeah, no, and those 40 people may know.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I really don't care. It's like my mom, your mom. They all know I'm gassy. Okay, that's what he doesn't like.
I wasn't going to tell you.
But that's annoying. If I was listening to a podcast and a husband and wife were like, "Oh, and we were giggling," I'd be like, "That's stupid. Just tell us what it is."
You want me to cut it out and keep it in there?
Oh, I don't care.
All 43 know.
All 43 know I'm gassy. If you know me, you probably already know that. I can't think of another thing I could possibly do to you.
No, that is probably...
Oh, no, I know too.
Oh, what would you say? Because the number one, that's like the only thing that I have, really.
Now that the kid's in the bed.
It's an extreme pet peeve. Mm-hmm. All right. Even though, like, no one comments, which is fine. I'm not a commenter either. Do you let your children sleep in your bed?
Okay, I think you should...
Have you told, like, your other friends?
I don't care what my other friends think.
I know, but you don't even, like, talk to it? I mean, like, no. I talk to it. I think it's, like, the worst thing that can happen for a marriage.
Okay, first of all, you're very dramatic. Second of all, to be clear, the kids don't sleep in our bed all night. For sure, our 10-year-old has no interest in sleeping in our bed. The 8-year-old will come in when he wakes up in the middle of the night. And normally it's like between 4 and 6 a.m. So it's like, then we're just sleeping. It's not like they're like interrupting anything. So I don't think it's the worst thing that can happen. I think if it was taking place of you getting some, then it could be the worst thing in the marriage. But he's just coming in the morning for snugs. I think that your big annoyance with that is like a little silly because it is not affecting our intimacy. And it doesn't happen all the time.
But you are recreating habits now of things that were broken.
Okay, but here's the thing. One day he's going to be like his brother and he's not going to want to sleep with me and he's not going to want to snuggle me, and you only gave me 2 children, so you should just let me snuggle him while I can.
I disagree, which I always have. I mean, like, we'll never come to a point of this. It's just waiting for that 8-year-old to be like, yeah, I don't want to sleep with you anymore. Which, who knows if that will ever really happen. It
will happen and happen. Yeah. You had the same concern about Jay, and it happened.
Still sucks. Wait, so what do you want to talk about today?
Let's see. We have a couple options.
Yeah, you had like a gambit of things.
Well, I think one thing that I know for a fact we aren't the only ones that went through or are currently going through is job loss and how our marriage sustained.
Oh, 2024.
2024. All of 2024.
That was fun times. So I feel like you have a better point of view of this than I do.
I feel like I'd have a different point of view.
I mean, true. My point of view, what I've been sharing with people over the last several weeks, because, you know, we were out of town and visiting people and asking, hey, how you doing? And what's happening in your life and things of that nature. And so I've shared with them that I know that I view this wrong, but like, hopefully your kids aren't listening to this. 2024 for me was like a shitty year. Although we were well taken care of, right? All of our needs were met, a lot of our wants were continued to be met. We didn't go without any lack or anything of that nature.
We didn't go with any lack.
With any lack.
Yeah, without means we didn't have any, well, we did have lack.
Okay. I agree. I agree. And so but my perception of 2024 was that, hey, it was just like a shitty year. And
I wouldn't necessarily disagree.
Like, it was just, for me, it was the emotional roller coaster of the whole job loss.
Okay, so speed everybody up in case someone doesn't know us personally. In March, you got a call that you were being, what's they called, off-boarded?
I was being let go.
Let go by a company you had worked for years. No fault of your own.
I know, this is the longest job I've ever
I
had.
know. No fault of your own. And we knew you would get paid, or we were told you'd get paid to like the end of April. And then it got pushed back to the end of May.
Then it got passed back
somehow, and we know how, it got pushed back to you got paid through August. So while we were, it almost felt like there was just a weight on us.
Yeah.
And it was hard because you've lost a job before. We've, been without a job before. We've been through pretty much every like big marriage.
Whether it's this sex, communication, money.
Yeah.
I think those are the three.
So our communication's pretty much been pretty good for a while. But the other ones we dealt with all that. And so this one, it seemed harder for me because the kids knew. And the kids, they didn't understand all of it, but they understood, like, this isn't good.
Yeah.
And that was hard. It was hard to, like, say no to some things that we had, previously been able to say yes to. So while we were going through it, it seemed really yucky. But one thing that you and I harp on often is having community and having support. And we had a really wonderful community around us. And our families were super supportive and helpful. And I mean, your mom sent us money so we could go on dates because she was so worried about, making sure that our marriage stayed strong. Huh? Oh. I'm not good at this. My parents gave us, a little emergency fund just in case, and it was super generous.
So our family was very helpful with that.
Our family was super helpful. And even our friends were super helpful. Our former guest, Felicia and Nathan, allowed me to stay in their hotel room in Felicia's hotel room.
Wild and Free, that's right.
When Wild and Free came up, my mom paid for me to go to Wild and Free. And so it was things like that, like to Felicia, because she's the saint that she is, she's like, well, I'm already paying for the hotel room, it doesn't matter. Yeah, but I could be splitting it with you,
true, right?
Like I could be helping out. But for her, it was, no big deal. And I have said I think September was my hardest month going through all of it.
Why do you think that was? Like of all that, it was a long period.
It was a long period of time, so it was 8 months, so a little over 8 months. I think because you had stopped getting paid in August.
Yeah.
And I was working, which I hadn't done.
I mean, over a decade.
Yeah, in 11 years. And prior to that, I was a nanny for the most perfect children in the world. So it wasn't like I've ever...
You weren't really excellent at hospitality, though.
Yes, I worked in hotels, but I mean, I wasn't a mom. I just wasn't a mom, and I wasn't a homeschooling mom. And so I think September, there wasn't the comfort of you getting paid anymore. I was somehow the only income coming in, and I was working some weeks 30 hours, and I was like, what is happening? And so I think that's when I had like a couple little meltdowns, you know?
Yeah.
But I think September was like the hardest, and I remember... I'm so emotional. Oh, it's right before my period. Dang.
Like we're talking right now?
Yeah, that's why I'm getting misty, because I don't think I'd be getting misty otherwise. But sitting in Wild and Free and like at the opening and like Ainsley's being all poetic and beautiful, and you know, I'm there with one of my best friends, and I just am weeping. Like I'm just...
Did you wear makeup?
Of course I did. And I'm like weeping. Fee's holding me. The lady next to me is like rubbing my arm. And I'm like, it's just so...
Ainsley's rubbing your arm.
Ainsley's talking about how horrible her year was, or how hard her year was.
Yeah, they did have a hard year.
Yeah, and then it kind of seemed to be the theme throughout Wild and Free. And I know that they are not like an overly religious group, but like there's no way that wasn't God. Like every time I go, I'm like, this is exactly what I needed. Like this is exactly what I needed. I'm not sure what the person after Ainsley said because I was weeping.
I'm sure it was wonderful.
I'm sure it was wonderful
and impactful.
But I was weeping, and there was a couple of times. But I think because as a mama, you don't want to let your kids see you upset over something that they can't fix, because I have boys, and even at 8 and 10 they want to fix things when you're sad, and I didn't want to stress them out anymore. I didn't want to stress you out anymore. So you know, you're trying to like hold your family together because you're the mom, and that's what moms do, and then you're falling apart, but you don't want to fall apart, and you're always with somebody. Like I'm never alone. And so just being...
The car was your best friend going to and from work.
Yes. And I feel like I needed Wild and Free in a different way. I just need to be around moms. And it seemed like so many people were struggling, and I wasn't the only one. And even if we weren't struggling with, you know, job stuff, but there were so many people that were struggling with losing jobs, and the economy was crazy. And so September was my hardest month until I got to Wild and Free, which was a week later than usual. Thanks a lot. And, you know, I just felt like there were so many relationships that started years ago that were so important to me during this time.
Yeah. One of the things that came to mind as you were talking and about Wild and Free, I was thinking about Josh and Jenny, right? And I was thinking about how they were in town, right?
Yes.
Or in the same state, right? And we were like, we're gonna go see you, right? And they, you know, they invited us along, and we got to tag along and spend the day with them. But once again, that was a relationship that was formed through Wild and Free.
Yeah,
right? And just how much of throughout that entire 9 month journey that all those, to your point, all those relationships that were formed in years prior.
Yeah. And I recently, I think at the new year, you know, at the new year, you're thinking about your year and everything. I think that relationship with Ginny, and she's so freaking humble. She'll be like, I did nothing. But even so that day that we went to go see them, she's like, let's have a pool day. And I'm thinking, okay, like we're going to sit at the hotel pool and it's going to look like a pool. She meant to say, let's have a water park day.
I know, because we invited them to our hotel that had a decent pool, right? Like it was like
but this is a water park. But even, you know, doing that and then including us in that gave our kids like a super fun day that we wouldn't have been able to pay for.
That's true.
And as a mom, that's really what I was worried about the whole time. Like, I want the kids to be okay. I don't want them to like be talking to their therapist about this in 20 years. Like, I want to handle this well and for them to be okay. and for them just to have a fun day and to be able to play. And then at Wild and Free, she invited me to this amazing farm to table dinner. And again, it was something I couldn't have paid for. And it was something that was so fun and so up my alley and just so generous. And I know she didn't even think twice about it. But to me, it was just like, hey, I got you. You know, like, I know this is hard. We might have to cut that part out.
No, we're going to keep rolling.
And, you know, Fee just being there through all of it. And
how do you feel like, so, you know, the whole community aspect and yes, I did have that. People who I would not have thought would have, and I think this just leans into with me, you know, I am big on being vulnerable, right? Vulnerable to you most and foremost, right? Above everybody else, but also vulnerable to other people. To like one step down, right? Yes. And so, but people, them knowing, hey, what I am currently going through, right? And them stepping up and just asking, hey, are you okay? People offering to, hey, do you need help with money? Do you need help with food, right? That I would not have guessed would have ever asked that, right? And it's always astonishing, especially not being or being removed from a circle that we were 900, 700, 800 miles away, right? That we were intimately a part of, and moving elsewhere. And not saying that maybe we don't have the same tightness yet, right?
Yeah.
Because those things come with time. But it was enough of a relationship that was established for people to actually care, right?
Yeah.
And then being able to open up and be like, oh, you know, not being timid. Hey, you know, I don't have a job, right? like, bro, I ain't have a job. And so, and this is how, like, I am not doing okay with it, right? I felt like I was very open when it came to voicing, I'm not doing okay. Like, I'm not okay, guys. I'm not okay. And so, once again, just the amaze of the people that did step up. A question that I did have for you is, so there was a couple of times where I just had, I would say, once or twice, I had a breakdown. I felt like, I mean, I wouldn't call it a breakdown, but it was like, hey, there's a bunch of emotions and
I would
pressure.
say you had two big displays of emotion.
There we go.
To me, you probably had, you know, your own things, and probably also in the car. I think this will, as a wife, or the first one that I can remember was earlier on, probably like April-ish, and you were so quiet and distant from me, and you're never that way. Yeah, like you barely talk to me, and you seemed very short-tempered with me, and you're never that way with me. I'm always your favorite person.
I did not realize that.
And I kept thinking, is he mad at me? Did I do something? Did I say something? And you were in here, and I wanted to come talk to you and ask, but I just felt like the Lord was like, just leave him alone. Just leave him alone. And I was like, but like, I really want to know what's going on. And I'd put the kids to bed, and you were just like really quiet. And normally, like, after you put the kids to bed, you like come in and say like, hey, like, what are your expectations? What are your plans? Blah, blah, blah. You didn't say anything.
That's a whole conversation there. Expectations anyways.
And I just kept thinking, like, he's got to be mad at me. Like, what did I do? And then you came into our room and just put your head on me and just started sobbing. And I was like, oh, it had nothing to do with me. Okay. Like, I know I didn't make him sob. So, okay. But it was a time where I felt like the Lord was like saying, like, hey, like, he needs this time. He'll come to you when he's ready. It kind of gave me the peace that, like, nothing was wrong. Our marriage is fine. Everything's okay. And then the day you found out the paychecks were stopping, and you had a big display of emotion. But even then, through
I put a hole through the wall.
You did, in fact. That is the day you put a hole through the wall. And I think there was
it though?
It was 6
Because I thought I fixed it right before Felicia came.
You did. You fixed it like that night.
But they came they were here no, they left right before 4th of July.
No, they came the end of July.
Was it?
They came right before I went to work. I trained the day that they came in.
Yes, I put a hole in the wall.
Yes. And there was a time where I would have been like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you just did that. But I started reading that book, Raising Spiritually Strong Boys, or Emotionally Strong Boys.
Oh, yeah. Did you finish the book?
I did not. I'm not great at finishing books. It's my New Year's resolution.
Finish one?
I've already finished one. I'm halfway through 2.
That was a fiction, right?
Yes. But the way that you handled it, you did it, and then you fixed it. And and the boys saw it. The boys knew what happened, and we talked to them. You apologized. You told them, hey, that wasn't the best way to handle that, but you're a man, and you had emotions, and you had rage, and you had anger, and you took it out on an inanimate object, and you fixed it. So I was like, hey, they're going to have those moments, too, where they're going to want to punch a hole in the wall, and hopefully you'll teach them how to fix it. But I feel like being a wife and wanting so badly for you to be okay. I hate when you're sad. I hate when you're stressed out. I will do whatever I can to make sure that you're not. And so that was really hard to see you go through all of that. And I felt like I had no control, right? I couldn't give you a job. I couldn't, I wanted to call your boss and yell at them. I didn't. But what I could do was make home feel good.
Yeah.
And so that was my goal. I can make the house look nice, feel nice, smell nice. I can make you meals. I can take care of you in that way. And so that's what I focused on.
So what would you say to someone, let's go 3 things maybe, that you would say to someone who is from a wife's perspective? Or maybe not a wife, maybe someone who has kids and has a significant other, right? And they are supporting them through a time where it is difficult. So not just loss of a job, but just a difficult time.
3 things.
3 things.
Well, I would say pray. I prayed for you constantly.
So
number 1, pray.
Okay.
I prayed for you constantly. I felt like I was in constant communication with God, and I feel like you are very outwardly worshiping all the time, and you have a piano and you play and you sing and there's worship music. I don't like loud things anymore. And so I don't blare worship music. I'm not singing. And so I feel like I'm so old, but so I just felt like I was in constant prayer, and my prayer was always Lord, what can I do to help him, whatever it is. I would also say having open communication and being able to say hey, are you good? What can I do for you? I remember asking you often, what do you need from me and what do you not need from me?
Yeah.
I didn't want to be too overbearing, but I didn't want you to think I didn't care. And 3, have sex.
Have sex. Which we did.
Yes, we did.
Which we did. We'll get into, because I think because of a situation that I think that we should talk about on another podcast that happened in a previous year that led to us being more open, right, as far as our sexual relationship, right, that if that conversation was not had, that I think it would have been harder for me this year, which I think I would have slipped into old patterns and behaviors that
I've gotten you on a true crime episode. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to murder him, guys.
No one believes you. I was talking to one of our friends in Maryland, right? We went out to lunch, having a crab cake, right? And now you're like, oh, what friend were you having? You had a crab cake?
I'm more worried about the crab cake than I am the friend.
I mean, you went to Hazelwood and had a crab cake. The Hazelwood Inn. FYI, if you are in the Baltimore, Maryland area, or even somewhere around that, take a trip to Hazelwood Inn and Box Hill. I think there's G&M or something out there, but I don't think they're as good. Anyways, so I'm having this conversation.
You're yelling.
What
And you
is
can't
it?
yell about sex because the kids are right there.
I mean, but our kids know about sex. We had a whole conversation about it.
Okay, yes, but they don't even know all things.
So, I'm having this conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And his wife also really very much into the whole crime junkie and podcast, right? And he's thinking to himself, and he says this out loud to me, are they just thinking of the different ways that they can murder us? And
Is this
they know how to
Colin?
get...
See you, Nikki.
and they know how to get rid of us.
We absolutely know how to get rid of you, but we're not going to. We allegedly know how to get rid of you.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
So I think you gave one. So once again, it was top 3 things, right?
Pray.
One was, oh no, you gave them.
I gave 3.
You did give 3.
See,
What were those
he
3
doesn't
again?
listen.
You're right.
1, pray.
What was the example of that? What was the example of, like, what type of prayer was it again?
I would just pray that it would be evident to me how I could help you, what you needed from me. And then I wouldn't get in my feelings, because it's easy to get in your feelings when your spouse is not being as lovey-dovey and emotionally there for you.
Yeah.
2, to communicate and to ask you just like straight up what you needed and what you didn't need. And 3, to have sex.
And 3, to have sex. I think those are good. I think that's a good way to end it.
It's a good way to end it.
Yeah.
Just tell them to go have sex. No, but seriously, if you're married,
Yes,
just
I mean,
have
like,
sex.
yeah. I mean, yeah. Like, once again, I think that flows over into another episode at another time.
Okay.
All right. Do you remember a closure? You barely
A
remember
closure.
a closing. Sorry. Do you remember a closing?
We're having a closure today. No. Thank you for listening to our podcast. And nope.
Nope. Nothing. We'll just wrap it there. Here goes the closing, and yeah.
You can just like put like something up there.
Yeah.
Okay.
As a closeout.
All right.
All right.